to this English edition of news from Dalsan TV, Somalia's premier bilingual television news network with the latest news from Somalia and beyond. My name is Yunus Deko and these are some of our top news headlines. President Madobe receives Kenya's Defense Minister Duale ahead of new offensive. Foreign soccer players sample live and off the field in Somalia. And new Uganda battle group deployed in Somalia under ATMIS. Welcome to the broadcast. A new contingent of Ugandan troops serving in the Africa Union mission have arrived in Somalia to serve for a period of 1 year. The group will be tasked with providing security and stability in the country, primarily in Mogadishu and surrounding areas better known as Sector 1.
The Uganda People's Defense Forces UPDF have deployed a new battle group to serve under the African Union Transition Mission in Somalia. Uganda Battle Group 37 replaces Battle Group 34, which has completed its 1-year tour of duty in Somalia. A command handover ceremony was held on Saturday at the ATMIS Uganda contingent headquarters in Mogadishu, presided over by the ATMIS Acting Force Commander, Brigadier Peter Omola. During the ceremony, officers of the outgoing battalion were also awarded African Union medals in recognition of their participation in AUP support operations in Somalia. The new battalion under the command of Colonel Charles Asimwi will secure areas in Lower Shabelle with its headquarters in El Jale town. ATMIS Acting Force Commander General Omola lauded the outgoing battle group under the command of Colonel David Biaruhanga for their sacrifices and dedication to secure Somalia. During their tour of duty, the outgoing battle group conducted operations against Al-Shabaab, detonated improvised explosive devices, promoted civil-military cooperation, and mentored the Somali security forces. Brigadier Omola, who is also the commander of the Uganda ATMIS contingent, called on the newly deployed battle group to immediately embark on joint operations with the Somali National Army in the area of responsibility.
ATMIS concept of operations require that you're mobile and agile. You're a tested commander, you're up to the task, you know what you're supposed to do.
On his part, Colonel Asimwi, the commander of the new battle group in Somalia, said he was ready and well equipped to reduce the threat posed by Al-Shabaab.
For having entrusted, having had confidence in me to give me this task, and more especially the greatest task that I have ever held in my career.
Uganda is one of the ATMIS troop contributing countries with personnel serving alongside troops from Burundi, Djibouti, Ethiopia, and Kenya.
And now on a story about foreign soccer players playing in Somalia, with the Somali Premier League coming to its climax with Gadidka winning as the champions in October, more foreign players are coming to Mogadishu to play in the league. Gadidka amassed a total of 32 points, 4 ahead of second-placed Horsehead Sports Club. This was the first victory for Gadidka Football Club in 32 years. We asked some of the players what they think of sports growth in Somalia.
Somali football naona iko tu sawa. Vitu ni competitive tu kama hizo zingine. Wachezaji kuna talent, watu wanacheza mpira. Hakuna kitu tofauti. Mpira ni ile, watu wanajua ball, mpira wanacheza. Stadium wako nayo nzuri. Vitu ziko sawa, football kwa Somalia iko sawa.
The league is the league is trying to how will I say build back to to that standard. So they are trying. You get it's not up that standard of other countries like even in Nigeria, but at least they are trying their best to incorporate foreigners to the league so that it help boost the league and have some quality players. There are quite some quality players in this league, especially foreigners and even some Somali players too. The Somali is peaceful. I've been out at night before. I didn't see any form of attack or any form of harassment to me.
waxaa jir wiil walaalkay oo xaafadda nala deganaa oo waqtigaas waxaa socday koobkii Eurooga 2012 aad markuu Eurooga dhamaaday wuxuu igu dhahay Real Soomaali maalin soo mobilkiisa ugu jiro wuxuu igu dhahay xaday kan soo maxaa Afrika Real Afrika miyaa kooxaas waxay ahayd kooxda geherneeda oo maleynaa wad jeen loo bixiyay بعدين حول على كوحدة متاجر كوحين الله تاجر من التاجري ها كنا وي garoonku igee maalintaas waxa xasuustaa labi hal ina ku badana takada ina ugu badana jecla tiimka takada ina ka badan kulankaas ugu horeeyay aan fiirsado horyaalka loo ku tamay loo ku tamay 3 waa
Those people who want to join Somali Premier League, they can still come because the league is professional and good.
Meanwhile, the president of Jubaland State of Somalia, Ahmed Islam Madobe, has held discussions today with the Defense Minister of Kenya, Adan Duale. During the meeting, the leaders discussed ways to further enhance security cooperation between Somalia and Kenya. President Ahmed Islam Madobe has received Kenya's Defense Minister Aden Duale in Kismayu, the interim administrative capital of Jubaland State of Somalia. The leaders held discussions on the upcoming military activities expected to be conducted in the coming weeks in the state. Kenya has a large military presence in Jubaland, using the region as a buffer zone for Somalia to protect its population. Defense Minister Adam Barre Duale also visited and inspected Kenya Army soldiers who are part of the African Union troops in Somalia. ATMIS is expected to participate in military activities that will soon start in parts of Jubaland district conducted by Somali security forces. The leaders discussed the preparation for the launch of the operation targeting Al-Shabaab from Jubaland district and support of the Kenya government army who are part of the ATMIS operation, which is ongoing currently in Somalia. The two leaders also discussed ways of cooperation with security within the border during the military offensives carried out by the Somali army. Somalia is currently conducting offensive military operations in many parts of south-central Somalia. More than 80% of villages have been liberated according to the Somali government. The group is now largely present in Jubaland, where there is natural rainforest cover and a significant hideout for the militants. The militants have besieged governments in Mogadishu for years, seeking to topple the Somali government. The group, which once controlled more than half of Somalia, wants to implement its own strict version of Islamic Sharia. The Al-Shabaab militant pledged allegiance to Al-Qaeda in 2012 and has carried out numerous attacks in neighboring Kenya and Ethiopia for supporting stabilization efforts in the country. On October 16, 2011, Kenya Defense Forces moved into southern Somalia to pursue insurgent group Al-Shabaab after a series of kidnappings of tourists along the border. 1 month later, Kenyan authorities agreed to rehire forces under the Africa Union mission in Somalia. The troops from Kenya were later formally integrated into AMISOM after the United Nations Security Council passed Resolution 2036. AMISOM, now ATMIS Sector 2, which has its headquarters in the port city of Kismayu, is comprised of Lower and Middle Juba. Currently, there are about 4,000 troops from Kenya serving in the Africa Union mission in Somalia. Meanwhile, the UN's paralysis on its momentous challenge in decades with a permanent member of the Security Council invading a neighboring nation will be the dominant factor in 2023, and it will also bring focus on reforming it. The Ukraine war has emerged as a catalyst for calls to change both the UN as well as the international institution created after the World War II, and efforts next year in that direction, even if changes don't happen next year. Armed youth from neighboring Jonglei state have crossed the Nile and have been roaming in the several parts of Shilluk Kingdom in Upper Nile Estate, killing and displacing civilians, with local government officials earlier this month putting the death toll at around 3,000. Right groups have condemned the violence and called on the armed civilians as well as everyone involved to immediately cease the carnage, which it said is being engineered by the central government in Juba and those along the Upper Nile states. And with that story, we come to the end of this broadcast, an English edition of news from Dalsan TV. Keep Dalsan TV for the latest news from Somalia and beyond in both English and Somali. Until we meet again, my name is Yunus Deko. On behalf of all our production team, thank you for being with us. Have a lovely time. Enjoy the rest of the viewing.